Today's gospel passage comes from Mark's gospel, the 3rd chapter. And in this chapter, it's an interesting one. Christ is sitting at home, and he is told that his mother and his brothers are outside. And he turns to those who are seated there and said, well, who are my mother and my brothers and sisters? He then says, those who follow the will of God are my mother and brother and sisters. Theologians have been arguing for decades, for centuries, whether this means that Christ had a biological brother. Well, the church teaches us through the Holy Spirit that Mary was a perpetual virgin, so this could not have been his brother in the biological sense. That those who are in concert with God, in harmony with God, understand or accept the will of God as a part of their lives, are in fact his brothers and sisters and mothers. Now, I want to tell you a story, and I think I may have told it to you before, so bear with me. It was some years ago, actually 26 years ago, when my mom was dying, and it was her time. Back in Chicago, my hometown, so I flew into Chicago to be with her, and my brother Pete flew into Chicago to be with her, and my brother Marty was already in Chicago. And we took turns taking my dad up and down in the hospital, because he was in a wheelchair, to visit our mom. We'd visit with our mom, and then one of us would go down and get the car so that our dad could get right into the car, being in a wheelchair. Well, this day, it was my turn after the visit to go and get the car and park in front of the hospital and wait for my mom and my brothers to bring our dad down. And I was looking in the rearview mirror of the car, and I saw a man asking for money. He was disheveled and a bit dirty. And I just thought to myself, I'm not going to give this guy anything. Snort it or smoke it or shoot it or drink it. I'm just not going to do it. And the words came to me, it doesn't matter what he does. What matters is what you do. So I decided I was going to go give him some money. And when I gave it to him, I said, can I pray for you? And he says, yes, please. And so I did, rather loudly. Heal this man, dear Lord. Come upon him and show him the direction his life must go, for he is your child. And so I turned in after praying and walked away. And on the way back to the car, the words hit me like a ton of bricks. Words were, that was me. Why didn't you ask me to pray for you? You see, I didn't see my brother in him. I thought, well, I need to pray over him. I elevated who I was and diminished who he was as someone who was so lowly they were begging. I failed to see my brother in that man. I failed to see Christ in that man. I know now fully well the understanding that all of those who follow the will of God are our brothers and sisters. And you see, we can't judge whether they follow or not. We just love them. I must mention that today is the memorial of St. Thomas Aquinas. St. Thomas Aquinas, great theologian, wrote a paper, his last work, called Summa Theologiae. It is considered by almost all Christian traditions to be the supreme work on the understanding of God, yet it is unfinished. It is said that St. Thomas Aquinas had an experience of God while writing this noted work, and he quit writing and said and wrote, compared to what I have seen, what I have written is just so much straw. The greatest work ever known, compared to the experience of God, is nothing but straw. See, that's the moment we get to see our brothers and sisters, and absolutely every single person. I have come to this understanding. The day that we learn to love the children of our brothers and sisters is the day we begin to love every single one of them. The day we begin to love the children of our enemies is the day that we begin to love. That's the morning we say, Lord, what are we going to do today